on.
Hi everyone. Today, in honor of Hany sir, I would be talking Hmar community. Hany sir and me, we have been working together since my master's. I've written a term paper under his guidance, one of my term papers under his guidance, and I had also completed uh, my MPhil under him. And I'm currently pursuing PhD under him. So today, in honor of Hany sir, I will be talking about the Hmar community. First of all, who are the Hmar community? The Hmar community constitute one of the biggest ethnic group within the Chin-Kuki-Mizo nomenclature. G.A. Gearson included Hmar language as part of Tibeto-Burman linguistic family. The Hmar ethnic group have measured concentrations in Mizoram, Manipur, and Assam. So in this paper, this paper shall trace the different forms of linguistic injustice through Hmar autobiographical memory, and it will also try to understand the role of historical memory, existing oral narrative, and remembrance in shaping the idea of the self and the notion of one's group or ethnic identity. Many forms of linguistic injustice had been witnessed by individuals and targeted groups when I had interviewed during my field research. And even masses have also witnessed different forms of linguistic injustice. I wouldn't be able to put each and everything, and I wouldn't be able to demonstrate in my paper, but I have selected some few incidents so that we will be able to understand how the role of historical memory and all this existing oral narrative and remembrance shape the idea of the self and the notion of one's ethnic group or identity. The Hmar community had started experiencing linguistic injustice since 1910. 1910, this is also the year where when they embraced Christianity, the white missionaries and volunteers from the Lushai Hill, now known as Mizoram, they came to the southwest of Manipur, and they use Lushai language, that is the official language of Mizoram, as a tool for converting the Hmar people. And here there was also an attempt for linguistic colonization, because early converts and religious leaders were encouraged, not only encouraged, there was also a pressure to compose hymns and devotional songs in Lushai language rather than their language. And also the Hmar people were taught how to read and write in Lushai language. When I went for interview, I collected some of the documents, early documents. So there I saw that all the meetings were all recorded in Lushai language. And also not only that, even when they communicate with friends, they even wrote a letter in Lushai language, even though that was not their language. So not only that, there are so many this Lushai language has a heavy influence on them. In the year 1668, one of the participants from my research says that they still sing traditional, hymn songs or devotional songs in Lushai language in the traditional praise and worship services. Again, this is another incident I will be describing. In the year 1946, that was on the eve of India's independence, the first ever political party was established in Mizoram by the Mizos. And here, one of the main objectives of the political parties was to integrate and merge all the Zo inhabited areas. Zo means all those people who are the Zo descendants, like Hmar, Paite, Thado, many more, to merge together and to integrate all these areas into a single unit to form Mizo Hill district. And another objective of this political party was to construct and mobilize an inclusive Mizo identity, which was extremely successful at that point of time, because there was a pre-existing affinities between the different ethnic groups in the Lushai Hills and beyond. And the idea of creating a pan-Mizo identity was pan-Mizo identity on the basis of Lushai language was endorsed and celebrated by all the diverse ethnic group at that point of time. Even not only in Mizo, even in beyond Mizoram, like in part of Manipur and part of Assam. So here, even the Hmars from Manipur and Assam, they participated. They participated physically and emotionally. They also composed songs in support of this movement, and they were very happy, thinking that they will be politically integrated and like politically integrated. And so, but when the newly formed India offer an autonomous district council under the sixth schedule of the Constitution of India, to cater the needs of the tribals in Northeast, the Mizos from Mizoram immediately accepted that offer, knowing that that offer would include the Hmars from Assam and Manipur, who had also participated in that movement, and who were not only participate, they were very loyal to that movement. So so after that, from the according to the Hmars from Manipur and Assam, that movement was a complete betrayal for them. So after that, in the state of Mizoram, the promotion of Hmar language was discouraged, and popularization of this language was also forbidden. And the mission school, which was established in the Hmar inhabited areas in the northern part of Mizoram, it had been continuously requested by civil society leaders and also the state to shut it down, so that because this school use Hmar as a medium of instruction, and they feel that this kind of promoting only one particular language will obstruct and will deter the unity of the Mizos in Mizoram. Here, the unity that they talk about is an ideology that emphasizes on one language and one nation. So during the heyday, but the school continued to function. In fact, during the heydays of the MNF movement, that is 1966, Mizo National Front movement, 1966 to 1986, this school had been completely confiscated. And this form of linguistic injustice caused unfavorable reactions in the memory of the Hmar people, especially from Assam and Manipur. And there are also so many unwritten and unrecorded history. But I would like to mention one particular incident in order to so that we will be able to understand the social atmosphere and the social political atmosphere during that period. In one of the when I conducted the interview, one of the participants confessed that they were in the year 1975 and 1975 they had a women's conference in Vairengte, that is Mizoram. So they were traveling. So they traveled to this place, and there she said that they were very scared to speak even Hmar language, and moreover the people who were on duty, that when they were about on the verge of entering the village, there was a duty post where a duty post, and there the people who were on duty, they pass certain kind of derogative words towards the Hmar language and the Hmar people. So this kind of linguistic fanaticism has been witnessed in history, and not only that, even till today, Hmar language carries stigma, and whoever speak this language are considered as they are against the pan-Mizo identity, which finds meaning only with uses of one language, that is the Lushai language. So like this, the Hmar people in Mizoram, they've started developing a negative attitude towards their language. They consider their language as outdated, irrelevant, and not prestigious enough to be used. So after experiencing, so this kind of linguistic injustice has created a lot of painful and uncomfortable memory for the Hmar people. And after all this historical incident, the Hmar people were politically awakened. Ethnic identity consciousness began to be planted in their minds and imaginations, and they have started perceiving language as the main marker and main marker or major indicator of their ethnic identity. And not only that, Hmar leaders from Assam, Manipur, and even Mizoram, they started promoting, encouraging, preaching, and trying to instill in the people's consciousness on the importance of using and valuing one's own language. So So all this form of linguistic injustice has been, when I took interview, like this form of linguistic injustice are still very much fresh and alive in their memory. So from my observation, I feel that the remembrance, oral narrative, and memory is another tool that they employ to protest, express their anger, and resist, as well as resist, and because they don't have no other platform. And also in the present times, there are so many other there are certain influential writers from the Zhou descendants, such as L.K. Bom, and there are so many other writers as well. I won't be able to quote them. And also not only the civil society organizations, and also even the masses, they wanted to, they really work hard to erase this memory, because they really wanted to erase this memory and instill the notion of forgetting in the public consciousness through literature, oral narration, for the sake of maintaining integrity, peace, and unity. However, through the testimonies and autobiographical knowledge of the public, the flashbulb memory is still very much alive, fresh, and it determines the idea of the present self, shape the notion of their ethnic identity in today's Hmar society. So especially when I conducted my fieldwork, I have seen so many individuals who had lived in history and witnessed all these different forms of linguistic injustice that happen in history. So especially the Hmars from Mizoram and Manipur, they took this very seriously, and the seriousness and significance of this historical event can be seen even in their effort to pass it down to the younger generation through literature and also oral narrations and memory. There is a fear of forgetting, silencing, and obliterating this historical, these dark chapters of their history. So, so the Hmars from Assam and Manipur had taken this very seriously, and they, after all this incident, they also try to, they cannot find, they started questioning the idea of Pan-Mizo identity, and moreover, they also try to, they started looking for a new identity, and also try to destabilize the narrative that champions Hmar as Mizo. So on the other hand, the Hmar people from Mizoram, although they retain and harbor all those painful and traumatic experiences, they also, but they are very helpless. They are very helpless. There is no effort to pass down the history to the younger generation. It wasn't repeatedly talked about, and written about in the years that follows. There is a reason for this, because of the existing socio-political structure, and because of the socio-cultural influence. So they also use, when I went for my fieldwork, what I came to realize was that they really, when they express, through remembrance and oral narration, they question and challenge the existing socio-political structure, and they also express remembrance, memory, and oral narration as a form of anger and also resisting. So so in Mizoram, the younger generations are no longer aware of this historic incident, mainly because of the socio-cultural influence, and also the heavy role played by the institution, socio-political institution. So they started endorsing the idea of a Pan-Mizo identity, qualified by Luce language, and then Luce language, and they find expression with the term Mizo, which is on the basis of Luce language. So that is the reason why till today the question of the relationship between language and ethnic identity has continuously been contested and debated till today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thelma. The floor is open to questions. Maybe while people are typing, because it's quite a, okay, actually there's already a question from Tanmoy Bhattacharya. Thank you, Thelma, for this very moving and useful intervention. Since Hmar is an official state language in Manipur, Do you think that more schools, at least in Manipur, should try to adopt Hmar as a language of instruction and not just as a subject?
Yes, yeah, in Manipur, at least the leaders, civil society organizations and leaders promoted Hmar language, and it was under modern Indian language. It has been introduced till uh, class 12 level. Even in Assam, it is still graduation level. It was introduced till graduation level.
But it's not a medium of instruction. So the question is,
Yeah, it is not. Yeah, it is not a medium, but it. I don't know. I think I think it's not possible to use Hmar as a medium of instruction even in Manipur.
so okay. So I had actually had a follow-up question. So the pattern that you describe actually is a pan-Indian pattern for a number of what are considered smaller languages, but usually are numerically they are numerically bigger, larger, and that so big languages like Maghi, Bhojpuri, these languages are not listed. This is something that Babu has worked on extensively, that these languages don't are not listed in the eighth schedule, and so there is a lot of political movement to get recognized as a language by the um, but in the eighth schedule. Is there any such movement in a way that Hmar people want to be recognized? They want the language to be recognized as a associate official language of the state. Is there a movement for political recognition?
Yeah, ma'am. Even till today, there is a political movement in Mizoram now that intends, and under that movement, one of the demand was to use Hmar as a medium of instruction in the Hmar inhabited areas in Mizoram. Yeah, that's the only movement that I can thought about right now.
Yeah, so would if anybody else would like to ask a question just by raising to either of the panelists today?
Aisha, I have a question to ask. This is
Yes.
Karthik. Yeah. Thelma, that's a very interesting presentation. I have a few questions, like just two questions. One is, how would you rate the intergenerational transmission? That is, the addition of new young speakers to the community. Is it ongoing or is it completely ruptured in Mizoram, especially in the case of Mizoram? And now, what is it in the case of other states like Manipur and Assam? And on the ideological front, do you also find a similar resistance or a similar oppression to Hmar as an identity in Manipur and in Assam? Would you see their inclusion as one of the languages of the state, official language of the state? Would you see that as a concession, or would you see that as or as an establishment of the right of the community?
Actually, I don't get the second questions, but I'll try to answer the first one. In Manipur, yeah, like Hmar language, like I've said, it has been used. It has been introduced even in the high school, even I mean in the schools, and that is also another form of intergenerational transmission. I mean, like because they started learning the Hmar literature, and from there, they started the inter
Generational
generation doesn't
transmission.
happen. Yeah, but in the state of Mizoram, that was not possible. Like in fact, I think just 2-3 weeks back, they introduced I mean, there's a long political movement going on. So like just recently, 2 weeks or 3 weeks back, I think they had just introduced in for the Hmar inhabited areas, that is the northern part of Mizoram, till primary, or I don't remember, to use Hmar language as a medium of instruction. So I think now, though, at least slowly, gradually now, that intergeneration transmission will happen, that the importance of language, obviously, if it is used as a subject, then obviously they will talk about the importance of Hmar language. And in that way, that intergeneration transmission can happen.
Just one addition to this, do young kids learn to speak Amar while they are at home? Do they
Uh,
learn to speak?
In Mizoram, they don't learn. They don't learn to speak Hmar language, because even I went there for my field work, because it's like Mizoram propagate this ideology of one language, one nation. So all the, even in the educational institution, Lushai language has been, Lushai language and English has been used as a medium of instruction. And moreover, like what we have in Manipur, that under modern Indian language, in Mizoram, they don't have that kind of, Hmar subject is not part of the syllabus, the school curriculum syllabus, yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, that's why that is also one reason why the younger generation no longer use this language. Moreover, that the stigma that it carries, that is also another issue. And then Hmar language is seen as very negative, and it is something seen as outdated, and not only that, one, like this is from my own experience. When I conducted the field work, I was speaking, when I was in the market, I was speaking my language. I was talking, I communicated with one of my friend, and they started ridiculing me, that because I speak that language. So yeah, that's why they don't, in Mizoram, the kids no longer learn this language. But in Manipur and Assam, of course, they definitely learn this language.
How good are Aisha, if I may, just one more question. How do you characterize the situation? How would you characterize the situation to be different? Do you think the Assam and the Manipur state accepts Amar speakers and their assertion of Amar identity?
Yeah, of course, very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Um, are there any